I'm Siti Nursaida, my metric number 294526. I want to present about Russia's risk analysis. Russia is the third largest oil producer in the world. The country also presents one of the biggest consumer markets in the world, providing access to multinational companies. Political risk is weighted at 0.3 because it is highly influential in corporate operation. With a weight of 0.25, economic risks reflect the respective importance of GDP growth, inflation, and unemployment in market prospects. A weight of 0.2 is given to financial risk, the strength of the banking industry, and the amount of government debt are important factors in gaining access to capital. Lastly, social risk is weighted at 0.25 as social stability and crime rates significantly influence employee engagement and consumer behavior, necessitating careful consideration for multinational corporations expanding in this environment. So, we are employed as the international consultant for the company that is responsible to advising multinational companies to establish new subsidiaries in Russia. Political risk, government stability with a weight of 0.4 and score of 60 because Russia had a score of 2.28 out of 10 on the Economist Intelligence Unit's Democracy Index, which classified it as an authoritarian regime. Next, political violence. The conflict brought many multinational corporations to voluntarily exit or sever business ties with Russia and triggered a broad set of international sanctions. Political violence with a weight of 0.3 and gate score 85. Human rights with a weight of 0.2 and score of 68. According to Amnesty International, authorities have employed extensive anti-terrorism laws against critics, leading to arbitrary prosecutions and lengthy prison terms for those who oppose the government. Lastly, corruption with weight of 0.1 and score of 65. According to Transparency International, Russia scored 26 out of 100 on the year 2023 Corruption Perception Index. The total political risk score of 70.6 underlines the difficulties faced by multinational companies in Russia, which have to carefully navigate a landscape characterized by authoritarian governance, systematic corruption, ongoing conflict, human rights concerns, and economic instability.
My name is Limia Eno, metric 294104. Now I will provide a brief overview of Russia's economic risks. First, GDP growth. Carrier 40% weighted and score at 85. Russia's economy rebounds with 3.6% growth in 2023, driven by the government spending and military output. In early 2024, GDP growth hit 4.7%, but by quarter 3, it slowed to 3.1% due to the inflation and rising costs, and forecasted to drop again in 2025. Next, inflation, which weighted at 30% and scored at 90. Russia remained a high inflation rate at 8.6%, well above the central bank target of 4%. Supply side challenges and rising demand have driven this, despite aggressive monetary tightening. For the unemployment, with a 10% weighted and a score of 60, unemployment hit 2.5% in 2024, reflecting full employment. However, tight labor market and defense sector requirements have caused shortage of workers in civilian industry, adding to inflation. Finally, the balance of trade at 20% weighted and score of 50, Russia maintaining a strong trade surplus and projected to rise in 2024, driven by the stable export. However, it still relies on energy export and affected by the geopolitical risk. So, Russia get a total score of 77 in economic risk.
My name is Feng Shitian, number metric 293182, and I will be presenting about the financial risk in Russia. Russia's financial risk landscape is defined by three critical factors: government debt, the strength of the banking sector, and access to capital. Government debt, which holds a weight of 50% with a relative low debt to GDP ratio of 14.9%. This reflects Russia has implemented conservative fiscal policies, but rising military expenditures due to the prolonged conflict in Ukraine are depleting the national wealth fund, raising concerns about long-term sustainability. Next, the banking sector, weighted at 30%, has demonstrated resilience with strong profitability. However, high interest rates of 16% implemented to control inflation have slowed credit expansion, impacting loan demand. Non-performing loans fueled by ruble fluctuations remain a persistent issue, signaling a systemic vulnerabilities. Finally, access to capital with a weight of 20% poses a significant challenge. Western sanctions has excluded Russia from international financial markets, limiting foreign investment. Inflation and a depreciating ruble further erode investors' confidence, while the government has introduced measures like tax incentives and domestic funding programs. These have only partially mitigated the impact. Overall, the financial risk score for Russia is 64.5, and this reflects Russia is having moderate risk in financial.
Hi, my name is Nur Atria binti Mahmud. My metric number is 294374. I will briefly highlight the key of the social risk in Russia, which is crime rate, educational level, and also social inequalities. The first one is crime rate with a weight of 40% and also a score of 65. Crime is a major issue in Russia. Organized crime stems from Soviet-era networks and influence the industry and also the government. Cybercrime, particularly during the Russo-Ukrainian conflict, target a critical infrastructure using advanced tools like kill disc, and also with destabilizing opponent and creating the uncertainty. The second one is educational level with a weight of 30% and also scoring 75, face urban-rural disparities. While cities like Moscow thrive, rural school lack basic amenities like heating and also indoor toilet. Over 6,000 schools operate under poor conditions, hindering the learning and also worsening the inequality. The third one is social inequalities with a weight of 30% and a score of 17. Russia's wealth is highly concentrated with a top 10% owning up to 87%. Urban centers like Moscow dominate economically, while rural areas face poverty and limited opportunity. In conclusion, these three factors, crime rate, educational level, and also social inequalities, combine for a total social risk score of 69.5, reflecting the significant challenge for Russian social and economic stability.
In conclusion, Russia presents a complex risk landscape with an overall score of 70.71, reflecting moderate to high risk. As an international consultant company, we advise multinational companies need to evaluate their acceptance of risk before creating subsidiary in Russia, as challenges posed by international sanctions and political instability in Russia. However, there are two industries that multinational companies can consider entering in Russia. Multinational companies can enter the energy industry because Russia ranks among the top global producer of good oil and gas, and leaving of Western companies reduce the competition level within the industry. Also, the technology sector, which supported by government financial support, is another industry that can be entered in Russia. In a nutshell, if multinational companies are considering to seek for benefits in these two industries, we advise that they must access the geopolitical background of Russia clearly and consult with legal experts to navigate the complex regulatory environment.